Hi, and good morning. Good morning, LinkedIn. Uh, or I should say, good afternoon. Wow, this has been such a beautiful, beautiful space. Welcome to the Love Corner. Welcome to the Love Corner. My name is Kimberly Lechnick, for those of you who don't know me. And I'm so excited to be coming here live with you every single Monday. Monday for me, every time I connect with it, it's not only my favorite day, but it is a day that reminds me about the topic of mindfulness. So it's so great to be here and connect with you. Um, and every Monday, we will be speaking about a new skill that can enhance our relationships. That can enhance our relationships. And I'm taking a little excerpt out of my blog post. For those of you that don't know, I have an active blog. And I'll be sharing that in the comments after I'm complete here. So, we're going to talk about active listening, but before we do and get into it, let's kind of get a little zen, right? Because it's Mindful Monday, it's Mindfulness Monday, and let's get a little zen and let's connect into what resonates with us. Our own personal definition of what we feel mindfulness or active listening, rather, active listening is. So I'm going to give you a minute to connect in with what is active listening for you. And then I'm going to get into the definition of what active listening is. So I'm going to give you a minute. All right. Hopefully. And if you make a comment on this feed, I want to be focused and giving you my full attention. So I am really putting all of my time and energy into our time here on the LinkedIn platform. So I will go back and I will look at your comments and definitely connect in and respond to them. So, what is active listening? Active listening is a skill. It's a skill. Isn't that exciting? Because what we know about skills is what? Skills can be worked on, skills are something to be practiced. Right? So, just like in our relationships, these are skills that we can hone, that we can practice, that we can sharpen. So, just like if we wanted to get on the golf course, right, and play a great game of golf, or ladies, maybe it's gardening for you, maybe it's dancing, it could be golfing, right? It could be tennis. Those are skills, right? So oftentimes when we are thinking about those, we're all excited, our blood's pumping, and we can't wait to practice them, right? But when we hear the word relationship and we hear things in terminology like active listening, ooh, we may not necessarily get the same reaction, right? So let's go forward with the definition. So, active listening is a skill that helps us be more attentive to a speaker. And what we know about communication is when we know someone is listening, right? And how do we know that? There's a lot of different ways, but let me finish the definition. We can understand what they are saying, and not only that, we can respond appropriately. So let's kind of dive into what active listening might look like, right? How about this? Right? You're telling me a great and engaging story, and I'm leaning in. I've got my eyes on you, and I really want to communicate non-verbally, right? I want to communicate non-verbally how important your information that you are sending my way, how important that information truly is. And our non-verbal behavior is a great way to know that. It's a great way to really see that someone is truly caring about what we have to say. And we'll get into that later, but I'm sharing a snippet from this blog. So let's dive into it and talk about the 3 points in regards to the impact of active listening. And you can find that full blog post in that link that I'm going to share just shortly. So let's dive into point number 1. Point number 1 talks about fostering emotional connection. So, how does active listening do that? Well, active listening creates a safe space. It creates a safe space. We talked about the leaning in. If I'm leaning in and I'm listening to you, I've got great eye contact. That's creating more of a warm environment. It's creating more of a warm environment because I'm taking the time to make it warm, right? Second, active listening allows for the validation of each other's experience. So let's say you're in a meeting, right? And you have a group. It's really, really important, right? If somebody's leaning back in their chair, right? We don't think about this on social media oftentimes, right? But if we're getting comfortable and we're leaning back, I may not be communicating non-verbally that I'm really engaged in your message. So I want to do a little practice here. If I'm leaning back, how are you feeling now? Are you feeling like I'm listening to your message, or are you feeling a disconnection? Now, what do you think about this? What are these nonverbal cues communicating to you? Okay. Point number 2, active listening enhances conflict resolution. So active listening enhances conflict resolution. Now, let's dive in. How does active listening do that? Let's find out. Well, active listening de-escalates tension, right? It de-escalates it. So let's give an example of how active listening can de-escalate tension. Well, again, if I'm leaning in, if you know that, if you're talking about a work environment and every time you step in the room, you're getting a warm reception, people are leaning in to listen, they've got open posture, right? They're not closed off like this, right? Because this nonverbal alone, right? What does this communicate? It can communicate, what you're saying is not important. Why? Because you're closed off, right? You're closed off. So it's important to have that open posture, right? And really lean in. And active listening also can support your partner or you in communication, their needs effectively, right? So active listening can also support your partner's ability to communicate their needs effectively, right? Because they're feeling welcomed, they're sensing this warm environment, and they feel like they can really talk to you, right? Because you've cultivated the space to do so. All right, point number 3, cultivates empathy and understanding. So how does active listening do that? Let's find out. Let's dive in. Well, active listening it gives us a space that where our partners can gain insight into each other's experience. Again, it could be a partnered relationship, right? Like a spouse. We could be talking about a friend. We could talk about an extended family member. We could be talking about a workmate, someone in our company, a business owner, the owner of the company. We could be talking about a manager. We could be talking about a peer, right? We're talking about active listening. So, how does active listening cultivate empathy and understanding? Well, let's dive in. So it active listening, again, I think it's redundant. It helps our partner, our communication partner, gain insight into each other's experience. So like we're here, we're communicating. And the active listening also helps us cultivate mutual understanding and support. Whew. Oh my goodness. So active listening, I don't know about you, but when I hear just these 3 points of the impact of active listening in communication, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. So why wouldn't we want to practice this skill? Why wouldn't we want to practice the skill? So again, right? It's not necessarily we think, oh my goodness, another thing, but personal development can be fun, and we'll continue to come, or I'll continue to come in and we'll talk about a new skill every single Monday. Let me know what your thoughts are on the love corner. Because you know what? At the end of the day, our communication is so important. Thank you so much for joining me. It was an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday in the Love Corner.